CNN global affairs analyst Kim Dozier and CNN military analyst retired Major General James Spider Marks. Good morning to you both. General, let me start with you. And off this record number of drones that Russia has launched, right before the inauguration, the narrative was that Ukraine was increasing its attacks deeper into Russia. The Biden administration allowed them to use U.S. supplied weapons to attack Russia deeper into that country. How do the negotiations or the talks about potentially a summit between Trump and Putin impact how Ukraine fights the war as it goes on?
I think what we're seeing right now, not surprisingly, is that both sides are trying to do as much damage, if you will, as they can in advance of some inevitable talks that they anticipate are going to take place. It's kind of like locking in the rates. We don't know what it's going to look like. Let's take as many shots as we can so that when there is some agreement on both sides, that there will be a cessation of hostilities, whether it's just a brief interregnum or not, don't know. But at least both sides can say they've done their very, very best to make it more painful for the other side. And that also gives them an opportunity to then give something up if negotiations are going to move forward.
On the negotiations, Kim, let's talk about this rare earth minerals deal. The National Security Advisor says that Zelensky will have to take the deal. Sources say that in its current form, Zelensky will not take the deal. Do you think he can get a better one? The president says that he doesn't have any cards to play. Does he?
Well, he does have European support and European leaders quietly telling him, don't get rolled, don't get bullied by Trump. But I think what Trump's national security team has been trying to signal Zelensky is, look, this is the way we've gotten our commander-in-chief's attention. We need to do some sort of deal so he can call this a win. One of the things I've heard from a Ukrainian official in the past couple of days is that Russia, in areas that it controls that have these rare earth minerals, is already reaching out to China to allow China to access those areas. So you can be sure Ukraine is explaining that to the White House negotiators, saying, look, we do want to develop these areas, but part of them are in places that Russia controls. We need your help and support to drive Russia out so we can develop this together. But they also are trying to correct some of the fallacies that Trump seems to hold. The loans, for instance, that Europe has given to Ukraine are guaranteed by $300 million in, it might be $300 billion with a B, in frozen Russian assets. And it's not being guaranteed by Ukraine, which is something that Trump is now requiring.
A source says that the current deal, this rare earth minerals deal, is for past support, past weapon supplies, General, to Ukraine. It is not for future assistance. Is a security guarantee or security assistance without the U.S. worth anything? Does it deter Putin at all if only Europe's on the table?
I don't think so. I think many would say, and I know Kim would probably describe this quite well, that we don't know what external pressures will deter Putin. I think he has his own perspective and objectives that he wants to achieve, irrespective of what might face him. The notion of the United States not being a part of security guarantees as established through NATO, I can't imagine that NATO nations individually, separate from the overall NATO umbrella, would provide those guarantees. In other words, NATO is going to come forward and provide the security guarantees for Ukraine. And I can't imagine the United States not being in a significantly lead position. And to the point of rare earths, I think obviously, look, rare earths are not rare. They're just rare to the United States. We've just got to go out and find them and be able to take advantage of those, because that is absolutely essential for our defense industrial base. And that has everything to do with capacity of all nations moving forward. So I think those are completely tied to what the negotiations are going to look like and what those security guarantees are going to be going forward.
Kim, what should we expect from this meeting between the president and President Macron of France, and also the Prime Minister who's coming, British Prime Minister who's coming later in the week. What should we expect?
This is a full court press by the European leaders or countries that Trump has in the past been closest to. They will be stressing that Europe is ready to step up and take responsibility for its own security. I got that from one European official. The British Prime Minister will be stepping up with an actual offer of troops, which France has also been discussing about matching, a sort of peacekeeping force, perhaps under the banner of the UN, that would stay behind in Ukraine after any peace deal as a guarantor that Ukraine won't get invaded by Russia again, as it has in the past after giving up its nuclear weapons in 1991 for peace with Russia, and after a later peace deal that was followed by Russia's invasion and seizure of Crimea.
But what's that guarantee worth? I mean, you just mentioned that they gave up their nuclear weapons for the guarantee. This was in 1991. But of course, we all watched what happened 3 years ago tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, well, one of the things that has been discussed as being included as part of this peace deal is that if Russia tries to invade again, there would be an automatic entry of Ukraine into NATO. Plus, those European troops on the ground would serve as more than a speed bump. Attacking Ukraine would at that point be attacking NATO because of those troops on the ground.
All right. Kim Dozier, General Spider Marks, thank you both. Still to come, former Vice President Kamala Harris, she made her first